Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Gibby Knows Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Big Gibby. I'm joined today by my little brother, Little Gibby. Seth, it's
What's up?
been it's been a while since we've recorded a podcast, but I can't
Yep,
think of a better
few
time
months.
to get back together and talk some
Yeah,
sports with the NFL draft starting tomorrow. It will begin
big
at
one.
8 p.m. Eastern, so 7 p.m. our time. Let's start with kind of the first round. That'll be what we center this talk over tonight. Mostly is talking about some of the first round
Yeah,
picks that we expect. Maybe some of the things that we could see happening there are going to be unexpected. Are there teams that might trade back, teams that might trade up, and those types of things.
yeah,
But let's get started with the number one overall pick.
yep,
Um, so at 7 o'clock our time, the Titans will be on the board officially. I think
yep,
the overall consensus here is that it's going to be Cam Ward. Most of
yep.
the draft analysis and projections and mock drafts that I've seen over the last month have had him as the number one overall pick. What do you think about that?
Uh, Obviously, Tennessee Titans have to draft a quarterback, and as far as quarterbacks go in this draft, the consensus is he's just clearly the best and most NFL ready you could say for a pick. If it was another draft like in the past, I don't think he's going number one overall. But this draft has been, it's not as very strong, especially at the quarterback position. And, that's how we really kind of determine drafts because if teams need quarterbacks, that's how you get, you know, people trade up, people trade the number one pick or whatever it is that they have to do. But Cam Ward is definitely going to be number one pick. Tennessee Times has basically have made that clear. If they're not trading that pick, and they're taking a quarterback. And he's worked out with them two or three times. From when I'm looking on CBS, he's worked out with Tennessee Times three times actually. So that's pretty much a lock that he's going to be the first pick overall.
Yeah, kind of to allude what you mentioned to earlier about it not being the best draft. It seems like. I mean, Cam Ward in January was not the consensus number one overall pick.
No.
Um, Not that he's not a good player and not that he's not deserving now, but that just shows you how far some other guys in front of him maybe have dropped, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But kudos to him. I mean, I think he's going to be an immediate game changer. I think there are going to be some growing pains for him in the NFL, like there is any quarterback. But the Titans do have some good weapons that they can utilize. I think after they draft him later in the draft, they really need to target some offensive line help, especially at tackle and guard. Um, but it'd be a good step for them in the right direction. Moving
We've
on
seen this.
to
We've seen this recently though. Like it's almost like you don't want to get drafted that early because the way the NFL's going, these teams that are drafting like that, they're bad. They're terrible. So these quarterbacks are getting thrown into the flames right off the bat. And if they're not NFL ready, tough love. I mean, like your clock starts ticking. It used to be, maybe you have 3 or 4 years to prove yourself, but in today's NFL, like you have a season and a half, 2 season tops. Like you have to start producing like right away.
yeah, who knows? Maybe he has a Jaden Daniels type of season.
Yeah. Oof.
Uh, so number two is the Cleveland Browns, and like Cam Ward, there's a pretty general consensus for who is going to go number two, and that's Travis Hunter,
Yeah.
who many scouts uh, and analysts have said he's the best overall player in the draft. So getting him at number two is huge for the Browns, and he has been committed to
Going both
saying that
ways.
he is going to play both ways. I
Yeah.
don't know what that looks like moving forward. I don't know if he ends up playing both ways. Is it, he works out mostly on the offensive side and then gets a few defensive reps, but Hunter himself has made it very clear that he wants to affect the game on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. And I mean, let them try it. I mean, you don't really know if we've seen people do it in the past, but not maybe to the extent that he wants to do it. So if he wants to be the unicorn, I mean, by all means, he did it well in college. Now that's a totally different beast going to the NFL, but I mean, why not? Why not try it? And if not, he's either going to be a really good receiver or a really good cornerback. So I mean, you take the gamble there. He's the best athlete. He's definitely going to bring some attention to the Cleveland, which is a big deal as well. So it's a good pick, and I want to say it's a steal, but you probably are getting the best overall like player in the draft.
Yeah, the best value probably for sure.
Yep.
My thing with the both ways thing, like I think he can do it. I mean, people I've
Yeah.
seen people online talk about just the physical fatigue of having to do that, and honestly, like if you can do it in college at the level he was doing it, then you can do it in the NFL in terms of your physical fatigue
Yeah.
because the NFL game is much slower paced than the college game, especially in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Um, Now the speed on the field obviously is different. It's much faster, but plays are not run at the same pace. You don't have the same number of total plays you have on offensive and defensive sides of the ball in an NFL game that you would in a normal college game. So
Yeah.
I think he has the physical tools to do it. It's
Yep.
will the Browns let him do that, and time will tell there. All right, so
Yep.
moving on to number three. This is where we can kind of mention who this consensus number three pick was a month ago and who it is now. Uh,
Hmm.
Almost everybody I've seen in the past couple weeks has the Giants here taking Abdul Carter over Shadur Sanders, who a lot
Yeah.
of people thought for a long time was going to be, you know, the number three pick. Uh, but like you mentioned earlier, he's kind of fallen,
Yep.
and Abdul Carter might be the best defensive player in the draft, and
Yep.
he's drawn a lot of comparisons to players like Micah Parsons, being from Penn State, wearing number 11, rushing off the edge. He's a very gifted and physically talented player. And if the Giants do end up taking him, I think that gives them one of the best defensive lines in all of football immediately.
If I'm reading this right here on CBS, and then I forgot about this. If the Giants lost to the Colts in Week 17 last year, they'd had the number one overall pick.
Yeah.
So talk about a crapshoot, crap fire of an organization last year. Like, why would you blow away the one pick for the third pick? But we've talked about this when we did the college football thing with Bill Carter. Like, he's a freak. Like, he's legit. Like, I don't want to say he's necessarily the next Michael Parsons, but he's pretty darn good. And when he wears 11 at Penn State, you see the resemblance of Micah Parsons. So out of the first round, there's two Penn State players that I think that are like going to be steals wherever they go. Uh, but Abdul Carter, he's definitely worthy of the third pick. If it wasn't for Titans, and the Browns with uh Travis Travis Hunter, you could see Abdul Carter in some pass like Miles Garrett or something like that. Like he could be a contention for number one pick, and he was at some point till the Titans made it clear like we're taking a quarterback.
Yeah. To me, like the Giants taking Abdul Carter is one. I think they're taking the best available player at that time if they
Yeah,
take him number three. But two, I mean, if you look at their division, now you've got Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels to
Jane
contend
Daniels.
with. Adding a premier rusher to that defensive line that was
Yeah,
already stout
yeah.
is going to help them. Now, at some point, they're going to draft a quarterback. Is it the second round? Is it the third round? Do
Well, I mean,
they
they just
do they
signed Russell
trade?
Wilson and Jameis Winston.
Yeah, but those those
So
those are temporary, you know, bandages. They're band-aids for this season. They're going to
yeah.
have to draft a guy that they think is the future or trade
Well,
for a guy.
I think they're doing this because they know that this draft is not someone they want. I think they're going for next year, maybe a quarterback coming out, and maybe they start the clock then. But Brian Dable and the GM are like they have to win this season or do something that's productive. Like if they don't, they're gone. And I think they know that. So I don't know. Maybe I could see them drafting quarterback later on, but like those the guys that are in place right now don't have time. Like they have to win now.
Yeah. Which is why I think they'll go with a safer pick in Carter than try
Yeah.
something a little riskier.
Because Carter, I mean, he does like give you a chance. They were like, I mean, like you said, our division with the Cowboys, like you have to have a defense, like,
Yeah.
or you're not going, or it doesn't matter. So
Okay, well, number 4 is the Patriots. And this has been the one like that everybody pretty much agrees on, and that's they're going to draft an offensive
yeah,
tackle, and they're going to take
build
the
around
best.
Drake May. Yeah,
Mike Vrabel is going to get a hard-nosed physical tackle, and the best one in the draft is Will Campbell from LSU. Uh, so I think that's pretty much a lock. I don't think it matters what happens in the first 3 picks. I think that's who the Patriots are taking.
yeah, I agree. I like Drake May a lot, and I think they got to build, they got to like protect them because they just got Stephon Diggs too. So what's the point of making that move and getting a number one receiver if you're not going to protect your, quarterback for the future?
Yep. So at 5, you have the Jaguars. They're a
Hmm.
team that many have said might trade back. This is also where you start to see draft analysts and experts and scouts start to develop different opinions about where players are going to go. Now, we're talking as if there are no trades in these situations. Obviously, teams could trade back or trade up. Um, the Jaguars are a team that have quite a few holes to fill. I've seen um, in some draft analysis they have Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, going there. Some have them taking Genty here. Some even say have them even taking McMillan as a receiver. Uh, I don't really know what the Jaguars are going to do here, and they haven't really given an indication of what they're going to do. My gut tells me they're going to go probably defensive line. So Mason Graham does seem like a pretty good fit for them. If they do take an offensive player, I mean, the best one at this point available is the Genty kid, and
Yeah,
we raved about him. When we talked about the college football playoff, he is the best running back in the draft by far.
by far.
And if he doesn't get
Besides
picked,
Hunter, besides Travis Hunter, he's the best player in the draft as far as
yeah,
skill
I
set.
agree. And if he doesn't get picked at 5, then the Raiders right behind him at 6 are picking Genty,
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah. Pete Carroll is definitely picking him if he's available.
Yeah. Let's talk a
Uh,
little bit. Let's kind of skip ahead.
yeah.
You got the Jets at 7, the Panthers at 8. Then you have the Saints at 9. This is where some experts have Shedeur Sanders going. If he does not go here, then he's falling a long way, Seth.
Yes.
Um,
I don't think he's going here either.
and the only reason I think some people expect him to go here is because of the Derek Carr. We were kind of hit with the news that he's suffering some shoulder stuff, and we don't know what to make of it yet. So are the Saints worried? Do they take Sanders here? Um,
Uh, I from what I've read, it was kind of a deal, but a lot of people are leaning towards the Saints with the coaching leak about Shedeur Sanders. The more you like read into it, because he had meetings and he had workouts with several teams, and one of the last ones he had a meeting with was the New Orleans Saints, and then all this information came out. An anonymous coach saying that his the worst formal interview, just bad juju around Shedeur Sanders. But also, Kellen Moore likes Spencer Rattler, the backup there. That's behind Dave, and he didn't play too bad at the end of the year last year. So you could, I don't think they're taking Shedeur Sanders. I think they gonna ride out Carr, not Carr, then they're gonna put Rattle in place because he can kind of fit Kellen Moore's system as far as just he's not necessarily a pocket guy. He can throw around, he can run around, he's a little mobile. So I just don't see them taking Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders is dropping.
yeah, I think it's more likely that if a guy like Jalen Walker is still available, um, or maybe even Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from Texas. If either of those two guys are available, I think that's going to be who they
That's
end
what
up taking.
CBS has as
Yeah.
Banks going to the Saints, which I agree with. That's boosted your offensive line.
Which I think he's probably the second best offensive lineman in the draft. I know a lot of people have Mimbo from Missouri ahead of him, but I'm partial to Texas, obviously being a Texas fan. But I really think the Saints need to be smart there and not think about not having Carr. I think they're going to go
Yep.
with a safer pick. I just to address the Shadur stuff, like I'm just not a big fan of his. And we talked about it briefly, when we covered college football earlier in the year, but there are several quarterbacks I would take over him, and I've talked to people about this, outside of the podcast. But I'd take Jackson Dart over him. I'd take Quinn
I would
Ewers
too.
over him, to be
Yep.
honest.
I take Will Howard over Shadur Sanders.
Will Howard, yeah. There are just so many concerns with him. I know he has a good arm. I don't think it's a great arm. I don't think he's very
Hey, you know
mobile.
what made me get off of Shadur Sanders? So, Gruden started doing that Barstool Gruden QB camp.
Hmm.
Shadur turned it down. I think he was scared to get on there because Gruden is like very educational, X's and O's, makes the quarterbacks, it makes them like he pressures them in those interviews, and
Yeah.
like
No,
I
I've
think Shadur
watched.
would have folded because the I'm telling you
Yeah.
if you watch the one that came out with Ewers and then especially the one that came out today with Jackson Dart,
No, I watched
like
both of them. They were really good.
they're like their intellect and it's just like incredible. Like they're smart, and that's what you need in the NFL.
And yeah, and that that is what we have seen in our lifetime. Like the quarterbacks that stick around for a long time in this league are the ones that can do that. They're they can
Pre-snap read.
pre-snap dissect defenses. They can change plays. They can change pass protections. They can audible to so many different checks because they've got the playbook known inside and out, and they've got answers for the things they've seen. And obviously that comes with time and reps and being exposed to NFL defenses. And even the greatest of all time, those guys, they still struggle, in games. But the guys that do it consistently year in, year out, uh, they're more cerebral. Obviously they have the arm talent, but they can process things faster upstairs.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I don't just watching Shadir play, like I don't know if he's going to be able to do that in the NFL. Now he might prove me wrong, and I don't wish ill on anybody, but he definitely is not super likable
No,
by the general public just by the way he carries himself. In my
and
opinion,
I and I liked him and I was a big fan of him, but I've grown to like Cam Ward more because of their workout videos of them together. And Cam Ward has more of like an alpha dog mentality. Like the way they were conversating back and forth in the videos that was posted, on Twitter or on Instagram or TikTok. Like Cam Ward seems to like get it, like understands what it means to be a quarterback, and Shadir is more of like, I want to do this, I want to do that, kind of a me kind of guy. And we could be totally wrong with it. It's his vibes are not what you want in a like your franchise quarterback. If that makes sense.
he gives me Bo Callahan vibes
I did see that. I saw that on TikTok. I
from
mean,
from draft day.
yeah. Shout out to my boy Tom Whelan
Yeah,
for pulling it off.
Brian Drew.
Yeah. Let's go ahead
Uh,
and, for the sake of, let's go ahead and move to the number 12 pick with the Cowboys.
who's picking at 12, Seth?
Dallas Cowboys, baby.
Yeah, this is obviously one that I've been waiting
If
for.
if Jerry screws us, I swear to God, I'm watching the rest. I'm not watching the
There was
first week of the season.
speculation early this week that the Cowboys, are going to trade back, and
No, don't.
I could see them doing that, but I think there
Can't.
still are some really good players that are going to be available here.
We gotta go
That
help out Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, there are two guys that I really like here, and One of them is McMillan, the receiver from Arizona, if he's still on the board. And then my boy Matthew Golden from the University of Texas. The dude can fly. He posted the fastest combine speed this year. It really comes down to those two
I would like
guys, I
that.
think.
You wouldn't
You
take
know,
a tight end here?
no,
You wouldn't take Tyler Warren?
no. I think Ty Warren's going to go before 12.
But I mean, I've seen two different mock drafts, and he's going pick number 14 to the Colts.
Warren?
Warren is.
Mm,
I would if Warren was available, I'd hate because I feel like he's going to be like a Gronk kind of Travis Kelsey kind of talent. Like I think he's so good, dude. He's NFL ready right now. Like he would start week 1 and catch 6 or 7 balls easy.
okay, well, he don't run a 4.2.
No, he don't.
And I think that the Cowboys need somebody that can stretch the field vertically
Yes,
opposite
I
of
agree.
CeeDee Lamb. And
If you had to choose between McMillan and Golden, I'm taking Golden for that fact. Like he brings the speed factor.
I am too. But the only thing I'm going to say is it really comes down to, and obviously we don't know because we're not in the Cowboys front office. Do they want a big target that Dak can target in the red zone and in short yard situations? They can go up and get balls, or do they want to target speed? You know, a guy that is probably very comparable to CeeDee Lamb in the way he plays, and you get another guy like Matthew Golden. You know, there's been speculation that they might take running back here. I just
Is there
don't
any
see.
chance? Is there any chance Genty's available at 12?
No, absolutely not. And
I mean, you never know. If
if
he is, you better
if
take.
he drops past 5 or 6, I think teams will trade up to get him. To be
I
honest,
think because they're going to see that Saquon Barkley effect.
yeah, like I could see the Broncos maybe trying to trade up to get Genty. Hampton, the other running back that's projected to go in the first round, is a guy that has been talked about falling to 20 to the Broncos. But like you
Well,
just said, if Genty's falling a little bit, then
on this
I could see
draft right
them
here,
trading up.
on this CBS, this was posted 30 minutes ago. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but on the mock draft, this analyst has the Jaguars trading to the 5th pick to the Bears, and the Bears go get Genty.
Yeah. See, I
I
don't.
could see that.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, Genty's. There's no way. You know, a month ago, 2 months ago, you know that Genty wasn't uh, going that high, and he was mocked a little lower mid first round. He was mocked to the Cowboys a couple times by some people, but I just don't see that happening. I yeah, I'm with you. If the guys that go that are supposed to go, and you still have McMillan and you have Matthew Golden on the table, like I'm not going to be mad at either of those picks if the Cowboys take them. Um, but if I had to pick between those two guys, I'm picking Golden just because
The
you know
speed factor.
the speed that you can't find that, you can't buy that, you can't trade for that anywhere. I mean, and he's not just a speed guy. Like he runs great routes. He's got great hands.
Well,
He's very instinctive. The
look at my
Cowboys
Twitter.
the Cowboys have talked about him multiple times in the past couple weeks. Jerry Jones has even mentioned him several times. They've mentioned him more than they've mentioned McMillan, honestly,
Wow.
which has me thinking that's why they're leaning towards Matthew
Yeah.
Golden. Or it's Jerry Jones, and he could be faking it all and just putting fake stuff out there in the atmosphere and hoping that other people take the bait. It also wouldn't surprise me if they trade back, to be honest.
I
You know,
think
and
you got to go take
maybe get more
somebody.
value if they can trade for a receiver, a veteran guy maybe that's on the last couple years of a deal, that's cheaper
Could
and get another pick out of it. I could see them doing
could have got
that.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, well,
Chose not. Chose not to. Could have
this
got Davante Adams.
this draft is really deep with D linemen, defensive ends, defensive tackles, and receivers. I think some really quality receivers that you can get early in the draft that I think are going to turn out to be really, really good receivers in the NFL. Obviously, all depending on who they go to.
Well, let's go ahead and skip a few more picks. Let's go to the 21st pick where the Pittsburgh Steelers are. And a lot of people that is saying if Shadir is going to fall, he's going to fall to this pick because of his relationship with Mike Tomlin and with his father and stuff. But I really think this depends on if Aaron Rodgers is going to quit playing around and sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he signs the Steelers, then obviously they're not going to. He's not going to like them doing Shadir Sanders there. But what do you think on
Yeah,
that?
I think the reason Aaron Rodgers hasn't pulled the trigger yet is because he wants to see what
But
they do in the draft.
but the Pittsburgh, they're not in a place to like play games there. Like they've had a team that's ready to win now for the last 5 years, ever since Big Ben has left, maybe longer, and they just haven't had a quarterback. They get them there. Like they have the pieces around it. They went and got what's his name from Seahawks, uh, Metcalf. I mean, like they put the pieces around. They just gotta have a quarterback.
Yeah, that's where everybody has Sanders mocked now. I mean, I just I don't see
He's
Sanders and
not.
Tomlin getting along very well.
I
Um,
don't know if it's the connection with him in prime time or what, but apparently they have a relationship. Mike Tomlin likes Shadir, but like you said,
I
Mike
think
Tomlin and
I
Shadir
think
are like the
I
opposite
think they
people.
would rather have him than Aaron Rodgers, to be honest.
Aaron Rodgers gets a chance to win now, though.
I know, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that great anymore, to be honest. I
Or,
think he's kind of
or
overrated at this point.
I've seen a lot of people saying that the Steelers might go trade and get Kirk Cousins because
Yeah,
the Falcons
I
have moved on.
I think if they don't if they don't sign Rodgers, I think that needs to be what they do. Even if they
Yeah,
draft Sanders, I think trading for a guy like Cousins and maybe Sanders, you know, being kept under Kirk Cousins' wing for a year
or two.
would definitely help his growth. Um, does Sanders do that? I mean, does he pull an Eli Manning and refuse to, go to that team? I don't know. That's
He probably would.
it's gonna be really interesting to see what the Steelers do with their pick. And that's assuming they don't sign Aaron Rodgers at some point tomorrow before the draft starts, which could also happen.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, let's
do
talk
you,
about somebody that we haven't mentioned yet. Is there anybody that you think is an absolute steal in the first round? I know you already kind of mentioned Tyler Warren, but pick somebody else that you think might be, a
so,
diamond in the
so
rough that could turn it out to be an
Tyler
all
Warren,
pro.
I think Tyler Warren is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You already know my love for him.
Golly.
I don't.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, he's going to be the best. Besides Genty in this first round, I think he's going to be the best player in the NFL for the next 10 years. I think that's the case. But if not, I think the quarterback that's going to have the best, uh, probably I want to say career, but the best start, and that we're going to see like do good first is Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart will be the best quarterback out of this draft, and I think it's one because of where he'll land because he's not being favored as the first two or the first three, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's gonna land in a good situation. Like, a lot of people think that he's gonna fall back to the Giants. The Giants are gonna trade back either in the later the first round or early in the second round, and or like trade up and get that pick. And I think Jackson Dart is the guy that people should watch out for because I think maybe he kind of has like a Bo Nix kind of feel to me. And I mean, Bo Nix had a great year, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
My sleeper of the first round, and it's a guy that initially started way lower on draft boards, but he's become less of a sleeper because of how well he did in the pro day. And that's Jahdae Barron, the corner from Texas. Um, most most people have him mocked now going to 13 right after the Cowboys pick to the Dolphins, and that's
Hmm.
mostly because they may be trading away Jalen Ramsey.
Any chance the Cowboys get him?
I mean, I
Jalen
doubt
Ramsey?
it. I doubt it. Just because that doesn't seem like stuff that we do very often.
All in, Jerry Jones.
But I think Barron is the next Jalen Ramsey. He has speed and size and physicality. He can play safety. He can play corner. He can play, in the nickel over the slot receivers. He just has so much value, and he's so versatile as a football player. He's a guy that I can see, making a splash right away on the defense side of the ball. He was named the best defensive back in all of college football last year. I know I sound like a homer picking him, but he's a guy that I really, really like. And I wish the Cowboys could somehow get him. Maybe if we trade back and he's still available, that would be a guy that I could see them maybe drafting late first round. If they were to fall, if he were to fall that far, but I don't think he's getting past the Dolphins at 13.
Uh, yeah, I could see that for sure. I just want the Cowboys to make the right decision. I think I think if you move back, I think you're I think you lose more value because I think if there's with McMillan and Golden, if they're there, like you have to go take a receiver to go help out. But like we have a defense, and I think it's once it's healthy, uh, it's gonna be it's our defense. They're one day they could be the best in the league, one day they couldn't be. It is what it is. So with our division, especially with Jay and Daniels, and who knows what the Giants do, like we're gonna have to score points. You know, there's gonna be a time where we're gonna have to go put up 20 points and a half to hang, like to compete. Especially if Jay and Daniels doesn't have that sophomore slump, and he's proven that he's probably looking like he's probably not going to, then we need to go score some points.
Well, I'll start worrying about the Cowboys when Dak Prescott is unable to beat the NFC East opponents like he's done his whole career. Um, so time will tell with that. But I think giving him another weapon to play with, like you said, is the best case. I don't want them to trade back because I think either McMillan or Golden will be available, or both of them will be available, and they need to draft one of those two guys because they will be immediate difference makers as rookies in the NFL.
I think so too.
And I hope it's Golden.
Yep. We're gonna finish this podcast, but I am gonna go live probably like the 10th pick, right before the Cowboys draft. I think we both need to go live on TikTok or YouTube and kind of just see what the Cowboys do because we kind of know what the first 5 picks are going to be, but once you get that 10th pick, who knows. And I want to be live when the Cowboys make a pick.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because I want a raw reaction. Because if Jerry Jones does something stupid, you're going to see me go crazy because that is this dumb old. I keep trying to watch my mouth.
Easy.
He's going to trade that pick. The more I think about it now, the more he said it. He's going to do that. He's going to do that shit on purpose because he wants people to be mad.
I don't mind us trading. It just needs to be. It needs to be a good trade. I don't want us to trade back to get a later pick in the first round and one more pick in the second round. To be honest, I think if you trade back, you're trading for a guy that can help you immediately.
His ass is so dumb. He'll probably trade with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I
Let the Eagles go get a pick.
I don't see that happening. The Eagles would take complete advantage of us if that happened.
I'm burning the Cowboys jersey that night if that happens.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We just wanted to give you a short little podcast, kind of briefly going over what we could see happening in the first round. I know we didn't cover every pick. We don't have time for that. I don't expect it to be super crazy tomorrow. I think the guys that are projected to go, early are going to go early. The guys that are projected to go late are going to go late. I don't think we're going to have something crazy happen unless the Giants do take Sanders at 3. I think that could be the craziest type of thing that happens. I think there will be some trades. I think there's several teams that are willing to trade back a few spots this year. So I would not be shocked if we see multiple trades in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I just know this is my favorite time of the year. It's April. You've got the NBA playoffs going on. You've got the NFL draft starting. You've got baseball now in full swing. And it starts to gear up towards the summer. And, this is the best time to be a sports fan, in my opinion.
Yep. Agreed.
So thank you guys. Peace out. Okay,
We'll see y'all.
we'll probably drop an episode recapping the whole draft on Sunday at some point.
Go on our YouTube channel, like and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and be ready for the live stream from Seth.
All right, see you.
All right, see you.